What's up, y'all? My name is Hunter. I decided to go on the Camino about 2 weeks ago. It was Camino Portugués from Porto, Portugal, all the way up to Santiago de Compostela. And I am going to go through what I brought in my backpack. Now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't study anything. I actually went to ChatGPT for everything. Actually, I plan everything with ChatGPT now, and I let it run my life. It also plans recipes for me to cook, so my life is not mine anymore. Anyway, the point is, I went to that. I also technically did a few websites, and this is what I ended up bringing with me on the Camino Portugués. All right, so I'm gonna bring out each and every little thing and show you what I brought. They'll also be in a list included with this video. So right here, I have a Fjallraven backpack. This is the Singy brand 28-liter backpack. I actually think it feels like a little bit more than that. I have another backpack from Cotopaxi, which is 28, which can definitely not hold as much of this. So I think the first thing that I would advise is have a backpack that's big enough to hold the sleeping bag, and we will get to that later. But right now, we're gonna start at the very side. On my side of my backpack at all times, and I'm so glad I brought this, is my Havaianas flip-flops, which actually I think I could have gone for some chacos or some sort of sandals, but the Havaianas flip-flops were amazing at the end of the day, or if I had already got the Blister halfway through the day, they were fantastic to walk in. They were amazing because you stay in bandages the whole time, and those are hostels, but they're not always the cleanest. Sometimes you're paying 10 or 15 euros to stay in these, so it's really nice to have some flip-flops that keep you from touching the ground, because you don't always want to touch those, grandma. So I'm gonna set that off to the side. Oh, I forgot another thing, and that is my hiking boots. These boots right here. These are from Revolution Race. They're actually a Swedish company. They're also simultaneously probably the coolest boots I've ever seen. I had some Mermaid boots before this, and I have walked so far in these that I have to recommend them. They're fantastic. I only got one blister over 300 kilometers. So I think that that's probably a good pro. We'll keep those off to the side. Another thing, when we get into clothing, is going to be at my base outfit, the core of my outfit. I did a lot of shopping at Decathlon, so these pants were kind of the go-to the entire time. And unlike when they were nerdy, back when I was in middle school, and I thought I was so cool and so hybrid, these are zip-off pants, meaning that you can take off the pants in the middle of walking. These are Quechua, or whatever you pronounce that Decathlon print. And you can take the legs, and I always put them in the side pocket of this backpack. So I'll get into clothing in a moment, but that is one of the key things. Inside of the backpack, we have toiletries. Now, there is nothing better than just a plastic bag. You are not overly concerned about it getting wet or falling into the sink or anything like that. It's a good way to carry off to the bathroom all of your stuff. So I think there is something incredibly underrated about just bringing a plastic bag with you. I use that for the pilgrim passport, which I'll talk about in a moment, but also for all of my body wash stuff. I went to Mermaid, which is a Danish company, but it's here in Portugal. It's in Porto, of course, if you're starting there, or in Lisbon, if you're starting there. I got a lot of little to-go body washes. So I got maybe 3 body washes and 1 shampoo. Still did not, I was on the road for 10, 11 days. and still did not finish these. I also brought a contact case, toothbrush, toothpaste. I brought this, did not end up needing this. This is anti-friction, like a deodorant stick, but it's like Vaseline, I guess. So I brought that with me. I actually still think that that's a good idea, especially if you don't have the pants that I got were specifically really good around the crotch, which, if I'm being honest, that's what chafes pretty quickly or starts to hurt. And I never had a problem with that, but if I did, I think I would have been really happy I had this. So I don't regret bringing it with me. Another thing that's in this Toiletries bag is blister bandages. Now, I think actually this is really important. I think that maybe this brand is not the best. This is Mermaid brand. This is from Mermaid. But this is just an adhesive bandage that goes around your toe just to protect it when you start to feel some rubbing. And actually, when you feel that rubbing, when you feel a little bit of pain, that's the right time to sit down and take off and put on some bandages. I think that's part of how I ended up with only one blister. It was a bad one though, in the base. But I never popped it, so I don't know if that's too much information. And when I go further, one big thing that I brought, also got this from Mermaid. I just wanted to make sure I got all the right stuff in all travel sizes. That store happens to have a lot of great travel sizes, but this is 30 SPF face cream. And of course I use it on my arms as well a little bit at the beginning. When you start walking into the Galicia region, you're also going to find that it might start raining every day. Who knows? When I was walking the coast of Portugal, that was some of the sunniest days, and definitely the days that I needed this the most. So, I mean, you'd be surprised. You don't actually use that much over the course of 10 days. You're not covering your whole body. So a small pack like this is perfect. Another thing I brought was hydration tablets. I actually didn't use a lot of these because they taste like shit. But I did one day put them in my hydration bladder. That was a, you don't really want that much sweetness in your life. So, yeah, I don't recommend that. Put it in a bottle or a glass of water at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Another big thing, it actually did come in handy, is a headlamp. I wanted to have some Spanish food at this little coastal town, and they were selling like amazing scallops at this place. It was like 4.9 stars from like 1,700 people, and I wanted to eat there, but they don't open a lot of times until like 8 p.m. So if you're planning on doing any walking after you eat dinner, especially around the town that I went, which I went in October, you're gonna want a headlamp just to finish off the rest of your route. You'll be able to see a lot better, but it's probably important that you make sure that you have a reservation at your Outback. They're also really great for early morning starts. A lot of days I would start around like 6:30 in the morning. It turns out that you get really into the habit of that when you're doing the Camino. A lot of people go to bed at like 9:30. Lights out is usually around like 10 o'clock. People will turn the lights out sometimes earlier. And so there's a function as well on this light where you can turn it to red. And that red light is so much better for working around people because it doesn't annoy people. So that was really nice. This one was from Amazon, really cheap, but actually fantastic. And this is the other thing that I did, is I made sure that all of my devices were charged by USB-C, because that's the battery that I brought with me. Of course, I have not mentioned it, but the Scallop shell. You can actually get this when you get your pilgrim passport, when you're in Porto, when you're at the cathedral. You can also get it in Lisbon. There's a lot of places you can get it. You can actually get it along the way or at the end if you feel bad because you're like, man, that would have been kind of cool to have. This is kind of a way that pilgrims let each other know that they are also on the Camino. I think it's really cute because you'll be walking, you'll see someone and they'll say Bon Camino or Buen Camino or whatever you are, depending on where you're at. I think it's a really cute way to keep it like very communal, and that was a really fun part of the energy of the trip. So yeah, I did get it. I was like, I actually initially did not buy it, and I went back and I'm like, all right, I'll take it. And I'm really glad I did. I keep my AirPods always in the side pouch. This backpack has a waist strap, which is a really important part. When I get done with everything, I'll talk about the backpack. But in the waist strap, I keep my AirPods off to the side. The other pocket on the other side houses my my actually earplugs for the night, which is another big part. It's not on my Toiletries bag, but I want to mention it. It's really important to have the earplugs. I initially did not bring them because I thought AirPods would be just fine. Of course, your AirPods will die on you. They're awful to sleep on the side on. And these earplugs are just, honestly, they're fantastic. I got them at a pharmacy, but if you do forget them, any pharmacy along the way will have them, although it was like €9, which I think is expensive. Okay, so this is actually fully packed, which means that I was not riding with that much weight, and I think that's really a key component. I saw a lot of people that packed way too much, regretted it, didn't end up using everything. I think what I'm about to share is the key components. So the very first thing that comes in there is actually my clothing bag. This is not totally full because I've unpacked just a little bit, but it's somewhat close. The key things that I brought with me at its core were 2 shirts. One I was always wearing, another one was, and these are just 2 like sweat-proof shirts. So usually they're just t-shirts. They're like the quick dry style. And then the other thing that I brought is a long sleeve cotton t-shirt, and that would be for nighttime or for when I get back and I get a shower and I go out. So it's mostly, I never wash that one because it's cotton. It takes a lot longer to dry. I always mostly just washed my socks, underwear, and the athletic shirts and the hiking pants that I just showed you guys on the side. So in here is, I got 3 pairs of merino wool socks. I gotta say, didn't know if that was worth it at first. Here's the merino wool socks. They're from a company called Danish Endurance or something like that. Denmark. But I gotta be honest, they never smelled. So even when I did wash them, I was like, do I need to? And I washed mostly in washing machines along the way. I tried the very first day to wash the way that I think you're supposed to wash, which is like washing on like a washing board or in like a sink or something, and my clothes came out very smelly after they finally dried the next day. So I resorted to washing machines the rest of the time, which there are plenty, and they have baggies that you stay along. You're almost guaranteed. This setup is set up for every 3 days washing your clothes, and that's perfect because if you wait long enough, you're gonna find a place with a washing machine. Almost every place, especially along the Camino Portugués, has washing machines. So merino wool socks, I bring 3 of these. I bring 3 pairs of underwear. I also brought just a normal plain t-shirt as well, because when you get to the very end, when you get to Santiago, you also want something that's like somewhat cool to wear with your hiking pants, so you can look a little bit more normal and not like you are still ready to hike up a mountain. So it was nice to bring 1 more t-shirt. So all in all, that's 4 t-shirts, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of merino wool socks, and my hiking pants. And that's pretty much it at its core. I also brought some sweatpants, like thin Under Armour, workout pants. I also bring a laundry bag. This bag I always kept my clean clothes in. Now I put my dirty clothes at the very bottom of the bag. What's really nice is that if this ever starts to smell, I can also wash the bag. So yeah, again, having these bagged components in your backpack is really nice for organization. All right, we'll put the clothing bag off to the side. And now we're into the actual gear. The very first thing that I brought is, let's go ahead and pull out this. Of course, passport and wallet. It was not that common that I would need my wallet, but my passport, a lot of my baggies asked for that. So that was an important component as well. Also have a rain cover for the backpack. I'll get into the poncho in just a moment and how you don't always need this, but it can be really nice, especially if you know the days can be really rainy, to plan like this, have the poncho separate around you. And what's really nice about bringing a poncho over a normal rain jacket is that you can always throw it over your backpack and yourself, and it's a really quick add. So if you can hang it or clip it to the side, if you know it's going to be scattered showers day, it's really nice to be able to rip it off and then throw it over yourself. It can cover your backpack. You'll look like the humpback of Notre Dame, but you'll be dry, and that's important. So of course, that poncho was a fantastic inclusion, and then sometimes I would just walk the whole day with this backpack cover on as well. You'll see a lot of people, especially as it starts to rain up towards Galicia, that they'll keep these backpack covers on the entire time. Boots are also waterproof, so that was an important part, but they are not so waterproof that if you're in a complete downpour, you're not eventually going to feel something. But just to be safe, sometimes it's not bad to just grab a couple grocery bags to throw around your feet so that you make sure that your feet don't get wet through that long walk. Because even when you're halfway through the hike and your shoes are soaked, you need your feet to be dry so that you can finish it off and so that you don't hurt your feet or get more blisters. So that's waterproofing. Next one is first aid. I actually used this, I was surprised. I just got a first aid kit, a very small first aid kit, but you can also get even smaller one from Mermaid. I think maybe this was a bit overkill for what I did, but it's still nice to have around, and I might have been really happy that I had it if I needed more. I cut my hand one time trying to climb on some ladder that I probably should be climbing on. And then I was like, oh, nice, I have Band-Aids, so okay. So, all right, in this pocket right here, I brought a USB-C charger, but then I left it actually right up here, is how I charge my devices. So I have an Apple Watch and I have an iPhone, and I also have my AirPods, and all of these things can be charged on this pretty compact charger. I got this from Amazon. I'll put the link somewhere in the text of this video. But this is really fantastic because it's MagSafe on the side, so I'm never going to accidentally misplace the phone and then it won't charge through the night. The top part is for the AirPods, and the bottom part sticks out, and that's for my Apple Watch. And of course, charges my USB-C like everything else that I have. So now my headlamp, my charger through the night, of course my wall plug charges by USB-C. I'm using a European plug almost the entire time. I don't think there's any reason, unless you fly through maybe London to arrive for the Camino, that you will need anything other than a Euro plug. Charging through the day. How do I do that? Well, I might have brought something overkill, but I'm also really into taking photos. And I did not bring my camera, which is what I'm shooting with today. That's my Fujifilm. Actually just brought my phone for that, which means I'm killing the battery quite often. So what I actually brought is from Anker. Anyway, it's a wildly good. I actually don't know what the capacity is on this, but it was fantastic for me the whole time. What I love about this charger, it comes in this little case. It is quite a bit heavy, so it is adding some kilograms to your weight that you're bringing in your backpack. But what I love about it is that it has a USB-A port, but most of it's USB-C, and the clip that hangs on the side of it is actually a USB-C plug. It also has another extendable port right here for charging another device or doing pass-through charging, which is super nice because a lot of times I would charge this on the wall plug and do pass-through charging to connect to my dock to charge all of my devices. So I would make sure that my battery is being charged through the night and all of my devices all through one power supply. It's important to be able to navigate everywhere. You're gonna be checking the Buen Camino app a lot along the way to make sure you're making the right turn, especially if the signage is not that good on the way. So it's important and really nice to have a good battery. Next up is for the showers. So I already talked about the soap that I bring. Most of the time when I go to the shower, I'm bringing my bag. I'm bringing some clean clothes. I'm of course bringing the flip flops, and I'm bringing this towel. This towel is super small. It's a microfiber towel from Head. What's really, really nice about this, and you'll find that a lot of the people on the Camino have towels like this. This is the entire bath towel, and it's actually fairly big. It's perfect for bringing with you along the ride. You're not guaranteed that there will be a towel everywhere at every albergue that you stop at. So it's really nice to make sure that you have a backup. It's great at drying. It's not gonna feel as amazing as a normal towel, but it's fantastic at that. It's great at drying you, and it's great at drying overnight. It'll be soaking wet. I'll hang it up on the little stretchy loop here overnight, and it will be super dry the next morning. Next up is, I actually brought a dry bag. This is actually Sea-to-Summit. This is their 3-liter ultralight dry bag. What I was using this for, you can use this for anything. A lot of times, if you're worried about it, you can put your socks in here. That's a big thing that you want to keep dry, maybe your underwear. What I also love about dry bags is that because they're airtight, they're really great for keeping your jacket in. So I haven't mentioned a jacket yet, but that's because my jacket's in here. So what's really nice about these dry bags is you can compress them really far, and then this allows you to kind of cinch. This is the clip on the top. It allows you to press it down really far, get all the air out, clip it, and then put it away in a very small size. So I can pull out my jacket as Primaloft in, so it's a very thin but highly insulating jacket. So it's just a basic insulated black jacket, and that's what I was wearing most days. You'll find that, especially if you're starting around the time that I'm going, and that I went in October, you put this on for like the first 30 minutes of your hike, and you might be walking anywhere from 4 to 8 hours in a day. So in the first 30 minutes, you're warmed up, you don't need it on anymore, you end up taking it off, the sun comes out, you end up taking this off, you zip off your convertible pants, and you look like it's summertime already. So it was nice to have, it was really important to have, especially near the end in Santiago when I was being a little lazier each day. Being outside was not as active of days. It was really nice to have something more. We got only 2 things left, y'all, before we talk about the backpack. And one of the biggest things was a debate for me for a while, but this is my sleeping bag. And what I brought with me was a 15-degree sleeping bag from Decathlon. And I debated between this and the sleeping bag liner, which a lot of people might tell you to bring. I think the liner's cool. I think it maybe would have been fun but I tend to sleep a little bit cold. I don't love like being worried about being cold. I want good sleep. This is a mummy style, so I can zip it all the way up and just have my head poking out. It's super easy to put back up at the end of the day. I think a lot of people ask about sleeping bags like, okay, great, it's super small, but how easy is it to get back to that size? This is really easy. It compresses back down, and then if I pop these cinches, it'll grow and fill up with air pretty quickly. At the end, you stuff it all in, it's about this big, and then you cinch it down on each side. Sit it off to the side. Alright, and I think that was maybe like the biggest reason that I think that having a deep backpack is good. This is the point where you add a lot of depth to your backpack, so it's really important to have something that easily fits it. The last thing is the bladder that I brought with me. So this is the bladder. It's just some water in it. I don't know, maybe I should empty that. But this is I think it's actually like a 2.5 liter bladder. And if I were to advise you anything, I think that 2.5 liters is a great amount to have. It doesn't weigh that much more to have more distance or more volume in there. But do not make my mistake. Do not fill this with 2.5 liters before you leave on day one of the Camino. Just don't. It's a lot of weight. You're like, oh man, I did so good paying for so much to stay under a certain weight, and then I brought this big ass thing of water and I drank a third of it for the first day. The big reason for that is that a lot of the route that you'll take, especially if you do the Camino Portugués, is gonna have water refill stations at a lot of spots. You're gonna be able to stop in at a cafe. All of Portuguese water is held to a certain standard, so it's all drinkable, so from any faucet that you use. So it's really, really easy to refill if you need to. Okay, I actually forgot one little thing, which is the pilgrim passport. So I talked about this. This is the final piece of gear that I think is really important to bring with you, and that is a plastic bag. The important part is that I kept my pilgrim passport in here the whole time because, like I said, the weather is so unpredictable. These pants are not waterproof, even though maybe that is a consideration you should make. I didn't feel like I needed that as long as I was covering myself. When you fly, you actually can't bring trekking poles with you on a plane. So if you are flying in, you may have to buy them, you may have to leave them at your end destination in Santiago. So it's completely up to you. If you bring trekking poles, I would totally say that if you're doing a Camino Portugués, you don't need them. But it's up to you. I think maybe a quarter of the people that I was hiking with actually brought trekking poles. Some people were far less prepared. I think that everything that I brought here was such a perfect setup.
One thing worth mentioning at the end here is the backpack. The backpack is really an important part of how comfortable you feel throughout the trip. Your shoulders are gonna feel so sore after carrying it for, 3-4 hours and then going into the next day. You start to feel a lot of muscle soreness right here. A good waist strap not only gives you good storage if you have little pouches on the side, padded ones are even better, but it also takes a lot of that weight off of just your shoulders and puts it down around your waist, and it shares and distributes that weight across your back. Also, a good important part of a backpack is making sure that the back pad is actually a hard pad. You want to make sure that you're not feeling all the junk that's in your backpack. A hard surface or a hard plastic pad back there can mean all the difference between how comfortable you feel throughout the day. Because truly, every little thing that you feel in your backpack or everything that you bring, you end up feeling in the long run. So just having a good backpack, good equipment, it doesn't have to be as expensive as Footwear. I know that Decathlon has a lot of really good equipment, can mean all the difference between a good journey and maybe a bad one or one where you end up sore. So that's all the information that I have. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love making this stuff. I love the adventure that this was for me. I love meeting all the cool people along the way, hearing all the stories about why people were doing their own Camino. I love that the weather didn't necessarily cooperate the whole time because it really made it feel a little more rugged. So that's all I wanted to share. Let me know if you want to see anything else, and thanks for watching.